Have you ever noticed how loud your mind can get, even when everything around you is quiet, like you're just brushing your teeth, and suddenly you're reliving something embarrassing from years ago, or already worrying about something that hasn't even happened yet? That voice in your head, it never really stops, and sometimes it's not very kind. But here's what most people don't realize. The mind doesn't just react to what's happening around you. It's shaped by what it hears most often, especially from you. In this video, I want to walk you through how your mind quietly shapes your daily life, and how, through small, gentle shifts, you can begin to shape it back. We'll talk about the psychology behind negative self-talk, emotional memory, and why your thoughts feel so real, even when they're not true. These aren't just ideas. They're backed by real research, and they might help you understand yourself in a way you never have before. Let's start at the beginning, with the quiet power of repetition. The mind believes what it hears most. You might not realize it, but your mind doesn't care if a thought is true. It cares if it's familiar. The more often you hear something, especially from yourself, the more your mind starts to treat it like fact. This idea is actually the foundation of cognitive behavioral therapy, first explored by psychologist Aaron Beck. He noticed that the thoughts we repeat to ourselves, especially the quiet, automatic ones, can shape how we feel, behave, and even who we believe we are. And it usually starts small. You burn a pizza and laugh it off with, "I'm hopeless in the kitchen." You forget one meeting and say, "I'm such a mess." You freeze in a conversation and think, "I'm not good with people." And the next time something similar happens, your mind quietly brings that thought back, not to punish you, but to protect you, to keep you from feeling that discomfort again. It's not trying to be cruel. It's doing what it's always done, looking for patterns, storing them, and repeating them. But over time, those little thoughts become beliefs, and those beliefs start to shape how you move through life. They keep you small. They make you second guess, and they start to feel like your identity, not because they're true, but because you've heard them enough to believe them. The good news is, what's been learned through repetition can also be unlearned, and even the smallest shift in how you speak to yourself can give your mind something new to listen to. The mind learns through emotion, not logic. It's strange, isn't it? How you can know something logically, but still feel the opposite? Like, maybe your friends tell you you're doing great, that you're smart, capable, kind, and you believe them, kind of. But then one small thing goes wrong. You send the wrong file, forget to text someone back, and suddenly it's like your brain lights up with, "See, you always screw things up." It's not that your mind didn't hear the compliments. It just didn't feel them the way it felt that one moment of embarrassment or fear. Because the truth is, the mind doesn't always hold on to logic. It holds on to emotion. That tight feeling you got when your name was called out in class. The heat in your chest when someone laughed while you were being vulnerable. Those moments leave a stronger impression than all the calm explanations in the world. Even if someone says, "You're enough," your mind might still whisper back, "Yeah, but remember when they left?" It's not about being dramatic. It's just how we're wired. Emotion teaches the brain, "This matters. Remember this." But just like a strong emotion can teach the brain fear, a gentle emotion can teach it safety again. Not instantly, but slowly and soft, repeated moments of care. When you show yourself grace after making a mistake, that's emotional learning. When you let someone in and they're kind instead of cruel, that's emotional learning too. And that's how we begin to retrain the mind, not through perfection, but through feeling safe enough to believe something better. Your inner voice becomes your inner world. It's easy to think that the things we tell ourselves stay inside. That inner voice, the one running in the background, it feels quiet, harmless, almost invisible. But it's not. It shapes everything. The way you walk into a room, the way you read someone's silence, the way you talk yourself out of something you really wanted to try. If you've told yourself, "I'm not that interesting," then even a normal pause in conversation can feel like rejection. Not because anyone actually judged you, but because your mind filled in the blanks before they could. Or maybe someone doesn't reply to your message right away, and instead of thinking, they're probably just busy, your mind jumps to, I knew it, I'm too much, I talk too much. That voice becomes your lens. Even when the world is neutral or kind, you might not feel it, because your inner narrative is already expecting something else. It's not trying to hurt you. It's just trying to stay consistent with what it already believes. There's a quote by Buddha that says, "What we think, we become." And it's simple, but it's true. Not in a magical way, but in the way your inner world shapes how you interpret everything around you. So if your thoughts can create that kind of reality, maybe they can also create something softer, something safer, not by forcing fake positivity, but by offering your mind something new to hear, something true and kind. Like, maybe that silence didn't mean anything. Maybe I don't have to read between the lines today. Maybe I'm allowed to take up space, even when I feel unsure. Because how you speak to yourself becomes how you experience everything else. Sometimes your mind holds on to pain because it never felt safe to let it go. There's this idea that once you understand where your pain comes from, you should be able to just let it go. But real life doesn't work like that. Sometimes, even when you want to move on, your mind won't let you. It holds onto the memory, the fear, the pattern, not because you're broken, but because a part of your mind still believes it's protecting you. It's kind of like a guard dog, loyal, alert, fierce when it thinks you're under threat, even if the danger is long gone, even if the house is quiet now. That part of your mind is still watching the door, still growling at anything that feels too close, still ready to bark the moment something feels familiar to the pain you felt before. And it's not doing this to make your life harder. It's doing it because it was trained by experience, by hurt, by memory, to keep you safe. That's what makes healing so tricky, because it's not just about letting go. It's about showing your mind, over time, that things are different now, that not everyone is going to leave, that not every silence means rejection, that you don't need to flinch at closeness anymore. And that takes time, repetition, and a whole lot of patience. But even meeting that guard dog with understanding, instead of fear or pressure, is healing in itself. You don't need to force your way out of the past. You can walk out slowly, one safe moment at a time. How you speak to yourself now shapes who you're becoming. You don't need to have it all figured out. You don't need to force yourself to be confident or healed or okay all the time. But the way you speak to yourself, especially when things are hard, that's shaping you, even if you don't realize it. Every thought becomes a kind of message your future self will remember. And that future version of you, they're not shaped by perfection. They're shaped by what you practice. So if today, all you can do is pause for a second and say, "That was hard, but I did my best." Or, "I'm allowed to be learning." That's not nothing. That's you showing up for yourself in a new way. And even if you don't feel different right away, even if the negative thoughts still come in sometimes, those small moments of care are leaving a mark. They're building something softer, something stronger. Because the more often your mind hears kindness, the easier it becomes to believe it. You're not just surviving. You're slowly becoming someone who feels safer in their own head. And maybe that's enough for now. If this gave you something to think about, or maybe just helped you feel a little more seen, I'm really glad we crossed paths today. You don't need to change everything overnight, but every time you speak to yourself with just a little more patience, you're already creating something better. If this kind of space helps you, you're welcome to subscribe, leave a comment, or come back whenever you need a reminder. Thanks for being here. Take care of yourself. I'll see you in the next one.